Welcome, Zukin. This won't be like the other videos I have done thus far. I don't have an option to do that. One thing I will give to California that I did not anticipate is, even though I cannot get away from the city right now, even though I cannot do this in private like I would prefer to do, California has done well in implementing nature into its cities. I feel like mycelium thrives in most places that I've been to so far. This may not be true for the larger population areas, but as of right now, I am satisfied. Also, I do not have any of my typical filming equipment, so I cannot promise this is going to be a quality sound. There is plenty of traffic, both foot and vehicular. But I feel like this needs to be said. This will be a very vulnerable video for me. I typically, first off, like to write down everything I wish to say, not as to sound scripted or overly profound, but I do like to have my thoughts written down. That was the sprinkler, I apologize. I do like to have my thoughts written down before I address my thoughts. Given the nature of what I would like to talk to you about, I think it would be best not to do so anyway. Zielkin, I would like to talk to you today about gratefulness. As we live, it is important for us to be grateful. Take breaking your fast in the morning as an example. When we break fast, no matter what you consume, it had to be provided from something or someone. Even those of us who do not partake in animal product, this remains true. Something was sacrificed to continue your existence. We can no longer deny that even plant life feels some semblance of pain, maybe even fear, when harvested for our consumption. I do not wish to have a focus on the right or wrong way to consume food. There's plenty of issues with the food industry, but what I'm getting at is, even for those of us who do not believe in a higher power, practicing gratefulness, even over something simple as breaking your fast, can be the start of a wonderful journey, if nothing else, to just being a better person. I'm gonna fix this real quick. That's distracting me. Again, if you do not believe in a higher cause or higher power, whatever you want to say, you can always be grateful for the world or the people who brought you the sustenance, provided the sustenance that you ingest to survive. Now, why do I want to talk to you about gratefulness? Much further than a simple meal, though arguably no meal is simple. Is because gratefulness can be one of those things that is hardest to find, hardest to acknowledge, hardest to want to be. Currently, right now, my family is going through quite a trial. If not a trial for the family itself, a trial for us each as an individual. 4 years ago, my son was born at the very hospital that I am at now. When he was born, we were happy. It was either 3 or 4 days after he was born that we were going to be able to take him home. On the 3rd day, the hospital had just, I should rephrase. He wasn't born here, he was born at a different hospital. But he was here, but we'll get to that. On the 3rd day after he was born, I remember packing up. We were going home. Me, my wife, and my son. But the hospital had just recently implemented a new procedure. They test the oxygen levels on the lower half of a child's body before they go home. His came back unsatisfactory. It was then the energy shifted in the room. The nurse played it off, but we both knew something was up. She tried 3 different machines to verify the discrepancy. Before it could no longer be ignored, he was not getting the oxygen he needed. So very quickly, we went from a happy, newly formed family to, if we had taken him home, he would have died. And we wouldn't have known why. It turns out our son had something called Schoen's complex. Even if you know what it is, I don't, still. Schoen's complex apparently is a level of different issues with the heart. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't equate to one specific set of issues or another, but that's beside the point. His issue, among others, was when a child is born, part of their heart opens up and another part closes. The part that closes was connected to his mother, and the part that opens is what is supposed to sustain them after the child is no longer one with the mother. So it very quickly went to a happy, healthy boy to if we don't take very decisive action, he will die. Now, my wife wasn't even healed from the surgery, and we got in our car and chased the helicopter to the next hospital, which was an hour and 40 minutes away. The dedication of a mother, huh? I couldn't tell her no. I don't remember if I tried to or not. But she was highly damaged. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that trip almost costed her her life. It's hard to say. As for me, I don't remember everything I felt. But we learned what was going on with him finally when we actually arrived to the hospital that I am at now. And now that I think about it, I think one of the doctors that checked us in has been helping him now for this visit. I wonder if she remembers. But I distinctly remember feeling let down. I can't tell you all the reasons why, whether for the fact that I'd like to keep that to myself, or the exact reasonings elude me. But I did not handle this well. Learning that my son was going to die. So, at the time, especially then, I was unable to find any reason to be grateful at all. Not one. When we got to the hospital after the helicopter ride, there was a man just next to us. It's the same room. It's the same room that we're next to now. As luck would have it, a 1 in 20 chance, and we ended up in the same room we were before. Perhaps a divine joke, or a cruel prank. I don't know yet. But the family next to us, I don't know what was wrong with their kid, but typically in this part of the hospital, if you are there, or your child is there anyway, they're all very similar issues with the heart, or at least an issue with the heart. But I remember that man on the phone saying in a broken voice that he did not know how they were going to pay for it. No, my family was taken care of. Finances, as far as the medical bills, was not a point of concern. But I want to let you know that after all of this, and I'll come back to it, me and my wife did receive the bill. It took 4 months to zero it out, but we never paid a dime. And this man was not so blessed. And to put that in perspective, our bill was $3 million. I couldn't even imagine how I could begin to pay that off. I'm fairly certain I'd be working for the rest of my life to do so. And that family wasn't as fortunate. I had to acknowledge that eventually as a reason to be grateful in such a terrible time. My son was saved thanks to the effort of one particular doctor. The same doctor who just gave him his second heart surgery on last Monday. And again, he saved his life. Unfortunately, this very mild heart surgery, arguably speaking, that my son needed to get, his heart doesn't work anymore. It seems like the heart is getting the signal, but the signal is not making it all the way through. And they're fairly certain it's not coming back. And again, I have to contend with this thought of what really is there to be grateful for? Because in 3 days, if his heart doesn't start doing something, chances are it's never coming back. And he will be on a pacemaker, presumably for the rest of his life. And I won't speak for my wife, but for me, as the father, that's hard to hear. Of course, I'm grateful he's alive and able to keep living. The tough bastard still acts like almost nothing is wrong. For the last 4 years, you literally would have never guessed anything was wrong with him. He's more on the fearful side, but I can give that story later, because it actually makes sense if you look at it. But he was already restricted. There's a bunch of things in life that he could not do to begin with. And if that pacemaker gets installed, it's even more so. I just found out that even a set of Bluetooth headphones could kill him, if I'm understanding the literature correctly. So it's hard. It's hard to want to find a reason to be grateful. but you simply have to. I had my moment of frustrations. They're still ongoing. And my desire to shake my fist at the universe or God or whatever you want to say, at the poor luck. But the fact is, he still lives. Now, that said, if I was like some of these other families, and he were to pass on because of this Shones complex, I don't know how I would be able to find any reason to be grateful whatsoever. But as of now, I have to acknowledge the same doctors who saved his life 4 years ago have done it again. It's just his poor luck. And I just want to say, I might call things luck. My reasoning for that is, I think sometimes things just are. I know a lot of faiths would like to say, oh, it's because you did something wrong. You didn't pray enough. You sinned. Aside from that just being a cruel thing to say, it's wrong. Sometimes things just are. And equally so, saying, oh, it's part of a plan. What's the plan? Nobody can tell you. That said, yes, I do think prayer, negotiation with a higher power, all that is possible. But sometimes, despite all that, despite how holy one might feel or believe themselves to be, it still happens. Life still happens. So while you can, find reasons to be grateful. Find a way, despite all the piss poor luck you may endure, there's always something to be grateful for. And even if there isn't, you have to try to find something. Otherwise, you could become bitter and resentful, and not at all good for anybody else around you for a very long time. I am having a difficult time with my son suffering, but I am so grateful that he is alive. I am so grateful that we were able to get this procedure done before he just didn't wake up one day. I think that's all I have to say about that for now.